Welcome everybody to the Broken Ring Racing League. This is the GT3 Championship, Season 10, Round 2 at Road America. I'm your commentator. In the booth here is Jason Alvarez. Right now we're on board with Trey Mistak, who's sitting in third in practice. We are about to go underway for qualifying. So this is going to be a big one. It's going to be a long race. 15-minute qualifying, followed by a 90-minute race here at Road America. It's going to be tight. The battles are intense. Go over the results here. We got a bunch of guys in the 204s. Stemming down all the way to P8. People in the 204s. Then it goes P9 with Elliot Burton with a 205.057. And then all the way down, you go from P9 to P29 with Tyler Rice. And then outside that is the 206s. 206 all the way down from P20, or P30, I should say, of Logan Brakey, down to P47, 49 of Noah Hodgkinson. Outside of that, you got a couple 207s, a couple 208s, but this is another max grid. 60 drivers in the field, with only a few drivers have not set a time on the board. That's Craig Carroll, Ricardo Espino, William Creaney, and I don't know how to say that. That's Jamin Sen. Some people call him James. And take a look here. Scoreboard. We got 2 minutes and 34 seconds left in practice. Brian Berthume, who's set the fastest time on the board, which is a 204.139, only separated by Jacob Simmons with a 0.001 difference in lap. That's mighty impressive. Jacob Simmons right alongside him almost. Trey Mistek down 2/10, and Christopher Daniel down 4/10. So gap kind of changes a little bit in that top order there. So one thing to note is that the header is going to cycle through every driver on the grid, and that's going to be interval, time, place. So Ethan, like the driver you see, driver next to him, that's the interval. It's going to be better in the race because it's actually going to show drivers that are on the grid, that are actually on the track, and how close they are together. So you can get a sense of the dynamic there for some of these drivers that are battling it out in different places, like Tyler Kern just right on the heels of some other driver. Going to make more sense once we see, qualifying and the race start. The gap also showing on the left-hand vertical sheet there. Yeah, that's nothing. With 45 seconds go, I will point out we got Brian Berthume, who's a part of just go to that pit lane real quick. We got 20 seconds left. There's not much to say. Brian Berthume, whose teammate is Peter Cheney, and they're the Max Downforce team. And Peter Cheney, who's actually out there on the track, and he is P8 right now in practice. So both of them seemingly to be fast drivers. One of them being in the top spot, and the other in the top 10. As he pulls off, we're going to be switched over to qualifying in about 3 seconds here. there's something extremely exciting about what's going to happen here in this race. You got a longer race. It's counting for 1.5 times the points going off the IMSA score. As we'll see drivers that get out there. Is Eddie A. Smith the first driver out there? It looks like it is, but followed by Cooper McCoy, Rodrigo Theory, Jeff Lubish, Blake Patterson. I think Blake's new. I haven't heard that one before, or seen that name before. Maybe I'm wrong. A lot of these drivers don't have teams, which is pretty interesting. Eddie A. Smith in the Audi, no teammate, not on a team. We have 20 teams on the grid. As we all know, the Pax Oceani purple, blue, and green teams out there in full force with a driver not in a team from the UK. He's also out there, I think. Not sure if he's racing this one, but quite a huge thing if he does. I think he is actually out there. That's Jordan Groves. Yeah, that's the other Pax Oceani driver. Not part of the team championship, but part of the repping the group. The honorary third member of the Pax Oceani Purple as he, yikes, cooks it and into barrier there. And that's going to be a full reset there. That was through the kettle bombs right after the kink. That's no bueno. And we're going to go alongside with Eddie A. Smith on his first flyer. I just really don't like the Audi's interior with the number plating there. Just it's too restrictive. We didn't get a good look at what this driver is doing here. So we'll switch. He's got Cooper McCoy about 1 second back, which is actually fairly okay. He's going to get a bit of a tow, so Cooper McCoy will probably be the beneficiary here in this. You got Peter Flanner just behind, so we already know that there's a few drivers that have swapped places, because Blake Patterson, I think that was his name. Blake Patterson was back there, but he's dropped back from this little grouping that went on their hot lap. No, every driver ahead of him is on their out lap, just ahead. Garen Hahn, Jordan Groves, Rodrigo Theory, but I think he's got enough of a gap, even to Garen Hahn, who's 1.7. This actually might be a beneficial thing for him as he closes in on this gap. I'm sure Garen Hahn's going to let him by, knowing he is on a flyer. No times on the board, but this is going to be a longer qualifying. You can see we're at 11 minutes and 27 seconds to go on qualifying. Longer for... Whoa! Jesus! And Cooper McCoy just sends it into the wall. And if we could go back... There he goes. Bam! And he pops it right back on track, but what can you do? Eddie Smith gets by. Garen Hahn into the braking zone, so he's going to get by without any trouble and a hassle. This is going to be good for him and unfortunate for Cooper McCoy, who is a part of the Incident Crapshoot joint racing venture with Tyler Anderson. Yikes. And we know a 206 is not going to be the best time on the board. We have drivers that were in the 204. So Peter Flanner is the first driver to cross the line with the 205. Blake Patterson goes across the line with the 207. JD Daniel goes across with 207. Chris Lambeth across the line with the 206. Sporting the Bush's Baked Bean livery. A little mix between that and, you know, the other one of Jacob Simmons. And we will go over to Brian Berthium, who, that's odd. Must have got a speeding in the pits or something. But he has not set a time on the board. He's got to get back out there. His outlap, he did set the fastest time in practice. As we can see, Rafael Santos crosses the line with a 2:05.9, but these times are going to continually get better and better as Christopher Daniel goes with a 2:05. A 2:05.7 is not going to be a strong time in the top 10. We're seeing drivers that were in the 2:04s up to P8 in practice. The 2:05s was anywhere from P9 all the way down to P29. So even if you get a 2:05, you're not out of the woods on where you're going to end up in this lineup. That's very key. We got Joseph Kennedy, who's sitting on an in-lap. He's got Brian Berthium in front of him on an out. Let's see what kind of times Joseph Kennedy could do as Jordan Groves sets the fastest time. Yo! And Brian Berthium just cooked the tires and almost looked like he was going to take out Joseph Kennedy with that one. I hope he stays out on track. Tries to get this together. As we see, Joseph Kennedy here is a part of the AM grouping. Tied in 41st with 5 points on the board. And we'll ride over to Christopher Daniel, who's expected to do another good lap here. He's sitting P3 at the moment. Actually, no. I don't know if this is going to be a decent lap here, but we'll see. Christopher Daniels right now in the overall rankings for the season 10 after the first see him going away. Peter Flanders out there though. He's putting on another lap together. Is it faster? I don't believe so. He's been 0.023 away from Jordan Groves. I think with traffic, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for these drivers to get to the 204s. Now, I'll go across over here. We have Charlie Hollerith in P26. He's down with the 208. Joseph Kennedy ended up doing a 209. Steve McAllister ahead with a 208 in 25th. Richard Sever takes P28 with the 210. Kyle Howe in P23 with the 208. Zed Khan. I hope he has his name in here. If not, then he does not. So I don't know if it's Zaid or Zed. Anyway, JD Daniels is a surprising one for me right now. He's sitting in P23. He's a fast driver. This is his his in lap. We'll see if he can put something on the board. He's sitting in P23 with a 207. He's a fast driver. Pax Oceani Blue Team teammates with Matthew Baldwin. I'm not even sure if Matthew Baldwin's in this race. There's so many people that are in this race. I can't even look at the overall grids of anybody right now. It's just changing. Richard Sever goes across the line with a 206.3. Matt Weber with into P12, now 13. Zaid Khan goes, Zed Khan? I'm going to do it's Zed Khan with a P7 with the 206. Peter Flanner across the line goes fastest overall to Jordan Groves. And that's a low 205, but I have personally seen in practice people going faster. Rafael Santos crosses the line to go faster than Jordan Groves with a 205.4. Brian Berthium has not collected a lap that is the same as what he has done in practice, the 205.5 out of him. But he's still up there, P4. Craig Brick just crosses the line to take P5. Christopher Daniel in 6. Ellie Burton in 7. Dylan Maroney in 8. Zed Khan down to 9. Eclipsed 2 positions there for him by 2 other drivers. Chris Lambeth in 10. Michael Matthias in 11. Jeff Koffold in 12. Peter Cheney in 13. Richard Sever in 14. Logan Brakey in 15. Things are still stacking up for some of these drivers. And yikes. Who is that? Is that Tyler Kern? Really off there. And Tyler Kern sitting in P8 with a 207.328. Brian Berthium goes across the line to go third fastest overall. Just overtaking Jordan Groves for that position. Jacob Simmons crosses the line to take P1 with a 205.3. If any one of these drivers can get the low 205, you're just setting yourself up in the top 10. I know that sounds like if you stay P1, you'll finish P1. But no, what I mean to say is that there's 8 drivers that put their car into 204 range, low 204 range in practice. It isn't impossible to think that they can't do that again in qualifying. I think traffic might play a little bit of part in how they go about setting themselves up for that. Maybe a bit of a tow was enabled for some, but 8 drivers were fastest. Over 20 drivers were in the 205s in practice. Another 20 plus were in the 206s. And we're seeing the times come back to them. JD Daniel crosses the line, goes to P7. Jordan Groves, let's see what he can do here. I'm not sure if he's on a bit of a flyer. Time will tell. If he can connect this last bit of this track together, we could see something happen for his time. And I'm talking just a few corners, keep it delta positive, and he's got himself one of the top steps. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I'm not sure. It was predicting pretty strong result for him. P6. Does he keep P6? He does a 206.8, which isn't going to be impressive for his ability to overtake there. I think it was Christopher Daniels on an out lap as we got 1 minute and 4 seconds to go. And look at that. Elliot Burton crosses the line to take P1 after Jacob Simmons just had a fastest lap. So getting usurped the moment you cross the line, you had the fastest lap. Thank you. Elliot Burton crosses the line and says, I'm half a second faster than you. Half a second faster than his teammate, Peter Flanner. The Draft Punk Racing team really setting themselves up nicely in the team championship with a 1-3 in qualifying if it stays this way. We got 30 seconds on the timer, crossing the line. Only a few drivers left to go that will be able to set a time on the board. And if I'm looking at this, we have 15 drivers who have not set a time on the board. That is actually immeasurable. 15 drivers that are going to be just shuffled in the order. One of those drivers, John Javecki, who has not set a time. And that is kind of crucial. The Pax Oceani Purple team for the team championship, need both drivers to really haul in some good points. Christopher Daniel is in 14th in the championship, individual championship. John Javecki was not placed yet. We need to see what he can do with his lap. And he is 5th in the championship. So he's above his... Sure, I'm reading that correctly. Christopher Daniel. Yeah, P14. John Javecki in 5th. Hauled in over 282 points on the first race. What can he do? He can't afford to make a mistake here. And unfortunately, it looks like he might have went off the track limits there in the kink. But let's hope that he's got this together. And up the hill he goes. It's one of the few drivers left that will set a time on the board. One of the only 2 drivers that are out there that have not set a time on the board. Eric Rodriguez being another one. He goes from no time on the board. Where does his position land himself in? I think that's going to be staggering. I don't think he actually set... Oh, no, I think that's... Yeah, that's unfortunate. He did a 2:05.7, but it did not count. Ooh, yeah, I think that there was track limits there, as Eric Rodriguez pulls a 2:07.3, goes to P38. And I believe there is no one on the track. That was the last 2 drivers. And we're about to get started on this this long race. And we'll take a look here. So we have Elliott Burton, Jordan Groves, Jacob Simmons in P3, Peter Flanner 4, Rafael Santos in 5, Brian Berthium in 6, Christopher Daniel in 7, Logan Brakey in 8. I'm just going to go past 15 here because you all can see the scoreboard there on the 15s. Wait, I forgot one. That is Andrew Korostecki in 16, Peter Cheney in 17, Zeki Kabani in 18, Joshua Grasso in 19, Michael Mathias in 20, Zaid Khan in 21, Noah Hoskins in 22, Richard Sever in 23, Matt Weber in 24, Eddie Smith in 25, Dean Dilson in 26, Rodrigo Theory in 27. It's odd. We're still waiting for something else to happen. Now they are going to be popping out of the pits here in a second. Idis Wobis, 28. That's a hard one. Eric Stamp, 29. Ethan Orr, 30. Kyle Howell, 31. Jason Lee, 32. Blake Patterson in 33. Cooper McCoy in 34. Michael O'Shins in 35. Craig Carroll in 36. Blake Nave in 37. Eric Rodriguez, 38. Tyler Kern in 39. Eric Koonsman in 40. Jeff Lubish in 41. William Creaney in 42. Garen Hahn in 43. Steve McAllister, 44. Joseph Kennedy, 45. Charlie Hollerith in 46. Tyler Justice in 47. Matthew Baldwin in 48. Patrick Gannon in 49. Trey Masek, 50. Andrew T. Murphy in 51. Austin McGill, 52. John Javecki, 53. Charles Reed in 54. Landon Loy in 55. Scott Sadler in 56. And Jamin Jen in 57. Tyler Rice in 58. Carter Espino in 59. And Blake Sheeta in 60. Oh. And if you're just tuning in, this is the season 10 championship for the GT3 series at Broken Ring Racing League, round 2 at Road America. The vertical standings there is going to be a gap to P1. The horizontal standings at the top is just going to be an interval from the drivers around them, just like you can see on the relative down on the bottom right side. As we are just waiting for... Oh, pacing started. And on that right-hand side, there will be their last lap for the drivers, so you'll be able to see currently what the drivers around them are doing when they do have a lap going, as well as a pit stop, how long that pit stop happened, and then I'll change to when they did actually pit, what lap they pit. Better see a Mustang get its rear ripped off and turn through for realism. The pace car is off. And Elliott Burton will set us a go. As he gets a good lead out the gate. And he's got Jordan Groves, Jacob Simmons behind him. Jacob Simmons in that Beans livery, as you can tell. And he has the inside line perfect for himself over Jordan Groves and Pax Oceani. That's going to concede P2 over Jordan Groves already in the first couple corners. And that is a long group of people. Look at that. Craig Brick going side by side with JD Daniel and Jeff Koffel just behind. Also Andrew Gorstecki following in. This is going to be 2x2. And look at the dive there. Andrew Gorstecki is going to go down the inside line and overtake Craig Brick. But I don't know. Who's that driver ahead? That is Dylan Maroney in the red Mustang. And he's going to slot in, and Andrew Gorstecki is going to pick up 2 positions there. As Alex Othen looking to keep his spot here, down 3 positions at the start. The Pax Oceani green driver really having to scrap as Zaid Khan has gotten 4 positions above him. Driver just ahead. And further back, you got Idis Guabiz up 1 position. It's got Eric Stamp ahead of him. A lot of drivers finding the... Oh, going to go up a little bit closer here. Craig Brick down 3. Dylan Maroney ahead of him, but he's got a lot of drivers still holding close. And we're going to switch over to Chris Lambeth, the other driver in the Bush's Baked Beans team. I'm not going to say it the full team name every time. He's got Mark Foley that he's battling out there in that Porsche. Or, no, and Logan Brakey, sorry, in P8. Logan Brakey, that white Porsche. Mark Foley's in the background there in that Kenan Labatt's livery. Only 2 positions changed in the top 10, and that was almost going to be 2 positions. But there goes Chris Lambeth ahead of Logan Brakey. And did he have an incident? You guys would have to know this more than I would. And that is JD Daniel down the inside line there on Mark Foley. He's going to have the next run up here, up the hill. They're going to have to go side by side, giving each other a little bit of room and space. He gets ahead, and that's position gained. I was not looking at my screen, but something happened for Chris Lambert to get ahead like that. Unfortunate. Logan Brakey losing a couple positions there and just a couple corners. And it is impressive what's happening on track. There might be incidences. I can't even tell. There's 60 drivers on the track, and they're still very close. 2/10, 3/10, a couple tenths, 1/10 there for some of these drivers. And I think it's just in the braking zone, though, so I'm not going to pull to that right now. Going back over to JD Daniel and the Pax Oceani Blue, he's got a 1.2 difference there to Chris Lambeth ahead of him as they go up the hill. I'm going to start straight finish. That's going to be the separator there, folks. You can already tell. Elliott Burton got a full 9-second gap to P15. And Christopher Daniel, who has remained in the same position since the start of this race, got Rafael Santos on the inside, or in front of him in that pink livery. And he's going to go for it. He's going to see what he can do here in the Morin sweep. And it may look a lot easier. And it kind of was. Nope. Rafael Santos isn't going to just give it to him. That does not bode well. There's already some blinking. And we are only lap 3 of 44. There goes Chris Lambeth on down the inside line on Rafael Santos. Does he hold it together there through the carousel? It looks like he does, and he gets it down. He's going to take P7. And when I said there was only 2 driver swaps, position changes in the top 10, that has changed already. Now we have 7 driver swaps in the top 10. Going over to Craig Brick here, who's now down a couple more positions. He was down 3, now down to 5. What's going to happen here? He's got Zaid Khan ahead of him in that Ferrari, that brownish black Ferrari, and then Zeki Kabani in P15 in that pink livery Mustang. He's going to make a move down that line. I think that's going to work out for him. Ooh. A little squirrely on the exit. This means they're going to be able to battle it out here. I think Craig Burke's going to try to make a move. He's flashing his lights. Maybe he didn't like that. Alex Authen now getting involved in this. What? Can't get too involved. He's got no room. He's going to set himself up for a good line. And yeah, Craig Brick not able to make him. Oh, what is happening there? Yeah, Zaid Khan looked like he had a slowdown of some sort, but he still is able to maintain his position. Ooh! Yikes! Is there contact? It looked like there was contact. No, we are not going to get to see what happened there. Oh, the replay's broken. Using cloaking technology. Yeah, it's some type of technology, I'll tell you that. Not good. Having an entire field is quite the effort on any individual's PC. Streaming it, not that bad. But there's definitely some blinking already pronounced off the first couple laps. And I'm hoping that's not going to continue. Micah Mathias there in P18 in the green Ford. He's joining this fight, as well as Matt B. Weber back there in the Ferrari with the white with the red stripe. It looked like a good recovery for Craig Brick in that yellow BMW, but down a position he goes, and that's going to be Zeki Kabani in the Mercedes, that pink Mercedes. Purple? Pink? That's purple. It's like a mix. It's probably purple. How's that Austin and Jeff team doing? Austin, McGill, and Jeff. Where is that team? Oh, make Justin Scott an admin to run an oval league to cause total chaos. Jeff Koffold and Austin McGill. Well, they are not letting up, and there's not relenting. There's Alex Alton down the inside line. He takes a position. This looks like damage control for Craig Brick, who's really having to work for it here. He is losing spots, but he was down 5 positions before, and he gained 2 back. How we're doing is Jeff Coppold is in P13, running pretty smoothly. He's got a pretty significant gap there of 2.3 seconds ahead of him. Dylan Maroney behind 4/10. That's gonna just be a kick to me for sure. Austin McGill, who is, I don't know, does a horizontal say where he's at right now? Austin McGill. But the other thing is, with with 60 drivers on the grid, it's really hard to narrow down one person to a sea of names on a screen full of data. He did not set a time in qualifying, if I believe that to be correct. Alex Othen is losing significant amount of positions. He must have had a crash there. Yeah, he's got just a train of cars that he cannot, and that is going to be detrimental to any drivers. Just, you wreck, how are you supposed to rejoin? You got a sea of cars coming at you, all separated by a couple seconds, and yeah, that leads to you to just drop right down the order in P47. That's unfortunate for him. Man, am I truly blind? Austin McGill is in this race. No, we have 55 drivers in this race. So we lost 5 drivers. That's unfortunate. Go over Noah Hoskinson's 3 positions gained for him. Not the most impressive. We have, not to say the least, it's not impressive. Set those drivers ahead of him. Matthew Weber, 6 positions gained. Eddie Smith is behind him with 5 positions gained. Idis Goubois is got 7 positions on him. Rodrigo Theory's at 5. I mean, a lot of drivers doing a lot of cool stuff here. Mark Foley has 2 drivers behind him of Andrew Korstecki. Yeah, Mark Foley, Logan Breaking, Andrew Gorstecki. Jeff Koffold is a little bit further back, about 3 seconds back in P13. You can see him there in the background. Looks like that was going to be a move down the inside line. It is not. Trey is in 34th. Yes, Trey has made a point that he has deemed Dilts as going side by side And he's got Eric Rodriguez there in the background moving a little bit. Not under braking because they're not there yet. Now they are. And Dean Diltz goes a little wide. No. Yes. No. Which one is he? Yeah, Dean Diltz is the car we're on. Just ahead of him is Eric Stamp in that pink Porsche. That's pink. Okay, so the other car was purple. I just don't know my colors, folks. I didn't graduate that class. Is that art class? Eric Rodriguez up 13 positions. Back to what I was saying about Trey. Trey Mistack here is just running a clinic on first to last. He's up 16 positions, 17 positions, 19 positions. What is it? He's up 19 positions and into P30. This stuff will get shuffled here. He's got Jeff Lubish behind him. 1.6. Look at that. Those drivers there, though. That's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers all going for it behind. And if we were going to take a look there, that was John Javecki, also a driver who's pretty quick. His time did not go well. He's in the same boat as Trey, except Trey did it voluntarily. Trey wants to work on his overtakes and his battling skills. He's kind of one of those drivers. It's like, I was kind of bored of GT3s, so this to him is how he kind of revitalizes his love for that. John Javecki into P26 after they cross the line there, so up 24 positions. This for him is a straight up unfortunate incident that occurred. That's Eric Koonsman that he overtakes there in the Trident racing livery, and that is Dylan Maroney's teammate in Trident Ren Group going ahead. So John Javecki, what he's trying to do is actually just score some points. He didn't... Oh, there goes Joshua Grosso down the inside line there. And overtakes... Yikes! That is somebody into the wall. Who's in the wall? That is unfortunate for them. Was that Cooper McCoy? Yeah, that was Cooper McCoy, who's got a damaged front end. And he's going to have to follow this train of drivers just ahead of him. I think everyone faster than me should follow Trey's example. Yeah, maybe. So Eric Koonsman gets overtaken there by John Javecki, but John Javecki's trying to stem what was a bad qualifying session. Is he going to take Jeff Lubish into the kink there? And he does. But look at that. Jeff Lubish is fighting back. He's got Garen Hahn right. Got Eric Koonsman following suit with Jeff Lubish. They're going to go side by side. It almost looks like they banged doors there. A little bit of rubbing his racing as Garen Hahn looks to make a move there on Eric Koonsman. He doesn't get the move done, but you know who does? Joshua Grosso goes ahead and makes the move stick as they exit and go up the hill on the start straight finish. What a move. Joshua Grosso, something must have happened there. He's down 7 positions at the start of this race, and he's going to continue that run. John Javecki now up 27 positions at the start of this race. This is a man who's sitting with a fastest lap of a 2:08.5. Around him, people are doing 2:09s. And he takes on Jeff Lubish once again. He's going to have to really battle this out. Jeff Lubish isn't a slow driver. And you can see that he's also made up 18 positions. And look at that. Still they go. Side by side. This has been, 2 laps of this happening. Finally gets overtaken. You can see he just had a slippery exit there as they got out of that corner after the bridge. And now Joshua Grosso makes a move and overtakes. And so does Eric Koonsman. Unfortunately, that is just a a sunken loss there for that driver, and that's unfortunate. And you can see Craig Carroll there also now in striking distance, as so is Gareth Hahn. And thanks for joining, everybody. Welcome. Thank you, K-Technology TV, for rating us with 13 people. Appreciate that. And with 55 drivers out of 60 that have filled this grid for this race, we still got 55 going out there strong. Doesn't even look like there's any damage to a lot of these cars. You know, Cooper McCoy's incident in that Porsche, that white Porsche that's in the background, was a barrier. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening here. Going over to Tyler Kern, who's sitting in P23, and Blake Patterson down the inside line there. And with so many different race paces here, we are seeing like all of these little groups formed. And what's interesting about this one is just behind them or just in front of them is Trey Mistak. Tyler Kern is on the outside there, and he's not going to be able to battle this one out here. But it's Trey Mistak. It looks like Blake Patterson gets ahead. This is 22. No, sorry. Blake Patterson loses out there as Trey Mistak gets ahead. Now doing a 207 on his last, but he's had some difficulties. This is one of the drivers that would be in the top 10, in the top 5 actually, in this league, but doing a last to first scenario when he positioned start was like P49. So he started in P49 and is in the 20s. What a change. And we'll have to settle something here in a second. Do you know if safety car is enabled? Safety car was enabled, but only for, I think, the first 20 minutes of the race. And there hasn't been any major issues that I've noticed throughout this race, considering only 5 people left. And I would assume that of those 5, maybe 2 or 3 of them didn't even start the race, because it didn't look like we had the full grid stacked up at the start of the race. The first race we did have on the race 1, there were people that just disconnected. It being such a big grid, a maxed out grid, some people were just, their internet wasn't able to keep up with what was happening in this race. But we'll go over to Elliott Burton and Jacob Simmons. We're really putting on a show. You know, they're still separated by 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. You can see on the relative that it's half a second right now. But these drivers aren't drivers that make mistakes. And, you know, now is, I guess, a good proper time to say that Jacob Simmons probably leading the team championship after the first race. Who knows? But his team name is the one-time world champion Bush's Baked Beans with Lamb Dog Duke Memorial Race Team, presented by the one-time champion Bush's Baked Beans with Lamb Dog Duke Memorial Race Team. Now, they still haven't gotten their certificate for that championship, so the owners do have some explaining to do, and why that has not come down their way. But you can definitely see that the Beans are unmistakable on the track. Still half a second away from Elliott Burton in P1. They are 5 seconds up on Jordan Groves, who won the last race He's part of the Pax Oceani purple team, who's sitting pretty comfortable in P3. And you can tell the race pace is pretty strong because just behind 1.5 seconds back is Brian Berthium, who's got P5, P6, P7, and P8, and P9. Not too far off. We're going to go over to Rafael Santos, who's been battling it out against JD Daniel. Rafael's lost 4 positions at the start of this race, but it looks like he's stemmed the bleeding there. He's got Mark Foley behind 3.8 seconds back with Andrew Korstecki and Logan Brakey following suit. I'll pop over. Eric Stamp. Ooh, there's a driver off in the background there. I don't know who exactly that was. That might have... That was one of the Prosciutto Punch Racing liveries. I'm going to assume that was Eric Rodriguez, and I'm only going to assume that because he's further down in the grid than Andrew Korstecki, his teammate. And we'll pop back over to the top half of the grid in our top 5 or top 10. Christopher Daniel's been 2/10 away from Brian Berthium for a couple of laps now. Chris Lambeth and the other driver of the Bush Baked Beans team in the background there in that Ford. Peter Flanners down 2 positions at the start of this race, but still possibly a good result for him and that team, as they are ahead right now in the team championship with 515 points over Pax Oceani Purple in P2 and Pax Oceani Blue in P3. And Chris Chitterling, I'm not sure where Chris Chitterling is. I hope he's here. I don't think I saw the name. It doesn't look like Chris Chitterling is here. Hopefully his teammate Charles Whedon can make up some points here, because they are in 4th place, the Little Lugnuts race team. I don't think I've read that one off before. And with time in a race like this, lap 13, we're starting to see just these little groups formed, and people are kind of just hanging on. There's going to be a pit or 2. I'm kind of curious if they're going to try to only do the one stop. I'm not sure. They started with them with half fuel, so that there was a requirement for a pit stop for fuel. If anyone's going to take, half a set of tires, full set. Going back over, Elliot Burton and Jacob Simmons are separated by 0.2 on this occasion. The Lamborghini Huracan and the Chevrolet Corvette really haven't seen any strengths or weaknesses from either one of these drivers right now, as they're continuing to push ahead. Now 6 seconds almost. It's 5.9 up on P3. And swapping back over, Christopher Daniel still has not made a move. I'm thinking, as it stands, we may not see a true battle happening with these drivers just yet. Probably just sticking to a flow. And look at that, the gap is quite... Ooh. There goes Mark Foley. Keeps it ahead of Andrew Korstecki, who was looking to make a move. And you can see his rear got a little squirrely on him. And Mark Foley started P10, and so far he's staying P10. Um, no news on this driver. I'm going to be honest. I've talked to this driver many times through chat, but never once until a race on Wednesday did I hear this man is British. He is racing from the UK right now. It is very early in the morning, or late at night, depending on how you classify that. But he keeps it ahead. He's still 3/10 up on Andrew Korostecki. Now, Andrew Korostecki, this is a driver that's been pushing for positions. He's up 5 right now. And he goes in the pits. And there's a trigger. We're going to see pit stops now on lap 15 from some of these drivers, which means we're going to probably have 2 pit stops. I mean, unless you can fuel till the end, possibly. I'm not sure what the fuel status is for any of these longer events that are happening here. And we'll swap back over, see what's happening over here. And over on the right-hand side, you'll notice the pit count there. None of this is, I mean, really that correct right at the moment. It will be once they go into the pit lane to serve their mandatory pit stop. I can actually go back over to Andrew Korostecki with a pit out with a 54.8. Just behind him is Logan Brakey, and he did a 56.7. So that's kind of odd. Maybe it was a full fuel situation in half tires. But they are the first drivers to make that change. He goes to P35 on this, but he's definitely going to make up a large amount of positions back. We'll go back over. John Javecki, who is up 26 positions right now. Tyler Kern is just ahead of him. So is Blake Nave. Craig Carroll right behind in that Ford Mustang. Jacob Simmons just set the fastest time with a 2:04.7. JD Daniels going to cross the line to inherit P1. Possibly. No, he doesn't inherit it. This thing's off. Too many drivers on the grid, and it makes the program go a little crazy. That's as much as I can say about that. None of these drivers have gone into the pit lane to serve their mandatory pit stop just yet, with lap 16 as their stint. Now, still, Christopher Daniel's been glued to this driver, Brian Berthium. And nothing has happened. I don't want something to happen. They make their way through the carousel. I believe we got something here. Jacob Simmons. He did write something down here. His fun fact is he also got kicked off Morad's tribe. Always the Padawan, never the Jedi is his other fun fact. I don't even know what that means. He's always gonna be a Padawan? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride? I'm not sure if I understand that one, as they both go on. Give him the beans. Yes, yes, give him the beans. Now, these drivers are going to be set up here, and you can see that double O for the beans. I don't even know. Because they're still making their way. Yeah, that's a long pit lane. There's Elliot Burton in P1 finally making his way into his pit stop. Car number 46. I'm not even sure who that is. Car number 46. Don't mind the blinking. They are up on the jacks. Jacks, you know, hydraulic system, whatever. Elliot Burton. Did he put something in here? Yeah. Elliot Burton. So now we're looking at times kickoff, and there he goes. And that is a 56.4 for Elliot Burton and a 57.5 for Jacob Simmons. Fuel differences for sure on what they did. And right now, I mean, if you want to know something interesting, Trey Mistak is in P1 with a 48 positions gained. He will lose a lot of, like, you know, good odd 20 of these when he goes in the pit lane. The last driver to not make a pit stop, a stint of 17 laps. But what can you say about Trey Mistak is that he is gonna find a way to be P1, even if it's momentarily. What an interesting turn of events for Trey Mistak. Oh man, that is pretty good. And that difference in time on pit stop is a 1 second difference for Jacob Simmons to Elliot Burton. But Elliot Burton, the founder of Draft Punk Racing, and he's camps out at the Rolex 24 and Sebring 12 hour every year. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. A pretty cool thing. And I'm just lingering on these two drivers for a little bit longer because I'm curious to see if Trey Mistak is going to finally go into the pit lane as we go through the start straight finish up the hill and into the pits he goes on lap 17. Steve McAllister just ahead there in the Ferrari, that blue Ferrari, and no change there. So we're going to go back over to some drivers that are still in some contended battles. Peter Flanner is ahead of Brian Berthume, and Christopher Daniels also ahead. Is this Chris Lambert's move down the inside line, is it going to stick? No, he's not even alongside him. So some lucky people there is Christopher Daniel did a 57.4. I'm not sure what that 245 means for Peter Flanner, but he's not really down in the polls there. He's one position back, one position gain technically. And there's JD Daniel on the Pax Oceani blue team. He's finding his way. And that is going to be a little spicy as these drivers are going to be having to contend with lap traffic. He's giving him the lights. Let me through as they go through the carousel. It looks like Chris Lambeth lost a little bit of time there. I'm not sure why that happened, but I think he's going to swing it back in on the next couple of corners. And even after the pit stops, these drivers are still pretty close. And some other drivers that are really close. Going over to Mark Foley. Jeff Koffold in this black and green Ferrari. Mark Foley just ahead. Dylan Maroney in that maroon red Ford. They've been pretty consistent towards each other. in terms of the race pace. All consistently doing 205s, 205.9s, I should say. In fact, their fastest lap is that. We're going to pop back over Chris Lambeth. Is this the moment he finally has down the run into turn one? He just loses out there on that. And this is a full, I think, 24-hour progression from the start of this race, which happened at 2 in the afternoon start time. So we will see the dusk dawn scenario. And I'm going to go further back here. I got Blake Sheeta and P37. That's Jeff Lubish, who went into the pit lane while other drivers are going in the pit lane. It's got Garen Hahn here just ahead of him, about 3/10 separating these two. Which is interesting because once he gets through this driver, if he can get through this driver, he's got a 5.8 second gap ahead of that. So kind of in no man's land for quite a bit of time before he gets up to the next battle, if he can make it to that next battle. Huh. And you know what? We'll just start looking back a little bit further. We have Tyler Justice up. I'm not even sure if it's 14, 15. Could be this many positions. It's Eric Koonsman. But no, we want to go Ethan Orr, who's possibly P31. Yeah, that's true. Tyler Rice in 48. Kind of unfortunate for him, but he's in another race of his own. Charlie Hollerith, also kind of a driver in no man's land. William Creaney, he's got one driver behind him of Jeff Lubish, who is... There's a battle on for them. And the Matthew Baldwin and Eric Rodriguez. Matthew Baldwin is part of the Pax Oceani Blue team. And they are in the top 3 right now in the team championship. Ooh, takes a lot of grass there. Eric Rodriguez right behind. Might be able to capitalize on that mistake. But maybe not at this moment in time. Go on board, see what he's thinking here on this start straight finish. Can he make something happen? It's got a really good tight line on exit. He's going to really have a good draft. He's already going for it. Not going to even wait up the hill, and he's going to be inching ahead. And is this a position gained? Looks like it, by a couple car lengths, I should say. And over the order, I want to see what the pace car is doing there. It's just sitting still. Joseph Kennedy is in P36, Peter Creaney in 30. It's 35, and Peter Creaney in 36. They're still making something happen here. Oh, an interesting tactic. Now he slots back in behind him. Got to get that toe. Elliot Burton in P1 just behind P39. So that is quite the difference there. And Peter Creaney is going to have it. And not yet for these drivers, but When is it going to happen? It's getting darker and darker, and they're going to go through the carousel, which is going to be kind of a tricky spot to try to let him by. Lets him by right there, which is pretty good. Did that slow up Jacob Simmons at all? I don't think so. Pop back over to Mark Foley here. He's got Logan Brakey ahead of him in P10, Mark Foley in 11th, in that Cannon Lavitz livery, the Renault livery, I should say. Jeff Koffel in 12, Dylan Maroney in 13. They're all still holding pretty good ground. Zeki Kabani in 14. Man, do I have a pronunciation on that guy's name? I don't. Yeah, I don't know what that guy's... if I'm saying that name right. Who knows? Who knows? But they're still all together. I mean, say what you will, that 2.2 difference in time, actually we'll go over to it. I don't think it's 2.2. It's 1.4 to Dylan Maroney, and he's still been sitting at 1.4, 1.2 for lap after lap. Even after they went into the pits, he isn't really losing. He isn't losing time to them. He's just not really inching closer in the relative, as he did a 4/10 faster lap than Dylan Maroney. So maybe he is gaining on them, but it's just going to be a little slow. Pretty impressive. There's Mark Foley. Has to worry the most. He's got two drivers that are going to be battling it out. And there they are. They are battling it out. Dylan Maroney on the outside. Jeff slots back in. Maybe he didn't have it. So we are on lap 22 of 44. We're at halfway distance. Whoa. Did that say out of 2 million something laps for just a second? That's what I saw. And Jeff wants to make the move. He's thinking about it. He started P13, and he's still P13. So nothing lost, nothing gained. All wet round, still pretty good result for him. We're going to pop over to Christopher Daniel, who's sitting 3/10 behind Jordan Groves. And Jordan Groves being the honorary member of the Pax Oceanic Purple team. It's a third driver, sort of. They don't have third drivers, but he's the only Pax Oceani that is repping Pax Oceani support, but is not part of a team. And maybe that's team orders there. Christopher Daniel goes through. Was he faster? Actually, he was. He was half a second faster than Jordan Groves on that last lap. So maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just good team orientation. Jordan Groves won the last race, the first race, the season opener. And he's steady to hold on to P4 as Peter Flanders 3/10 back. No, 2.5 seconds back. Didn't speak so soon. And Jakor Stecki, as you can't see, but who we are visually on board with, is looking at the back of a Beans livery. I don't even think it's just... It's blue. It could be worse. There could be beans right there. He's got to contend with the track temps changing, maybe. It's 22.2. That's not really that cold. Some might say that's the perfect AC weather. No slippery wheels out of that car there on the rear end of Chris Lambeth, who's just ahead. So through the carousel. I wouldn't be too brave in the kink. Ugh. And you could hear the tires waning through that section. And I don't think you can fully take it at full speed. Definitely lifted off when he noticed that. All in all, a good result for Andrew Korstecki, who's sitting in P9, 7 positions gain at the start of this race. And not much has changed there, as we'll pop back over to our great little pack in P10 through 14. If you want to count Matthew Matthias there, who's just 2 seconds back from these drivers. I don't know if it's going to be still 2 seconds. Last lap, he was just 2/10 down on one of the drivers in that little pack, so maybe not joining them right now. I mean, look at Elliott Burton there in P1. The gap to P15 is 34 seconds, which is quite something. And here we go. We got Tyler Rice in P49. It's got an 8-second gap to the driver ahead of him. Ethan Orr in 38. Battling out with Tyler Justice here in 37. And then Matthew Baldwin in 48. Eric Koonsman in 36. Got a driver off. Who was that? That's Jason Lee in 35. Got a Hot Wheels livery. And Alex Authen kind of joining this fight. Blake Sheeta hasn't passed Garen Hahn, but has been still within striking distance of Garen Hahn for what I can consider probably most of this race. Just haven't been looking. But we've seen this fight before. I've put it on screen. And when it looked the closest, there's no trigger there for the overtake. But Alex Authen is kind of out of position here. He's down 17 spots. Maybe 16, 15. I don't know if I can trust anything on this relative. It just keeps changing on me. Now in P28, 27. Now 13, 12 lost. I guess we'll know after they cross the line. That doesn't make any sense. It just... He's down 11. What I'm trying to say is he had a spin on turn 5 on the Morin sweep, that left-hander before you go up to the bridge, up that hill. And it was early on in the race, and he had to wait to rejoin because it was just a gaggle of cars, just a snake, just one after another after another. He really had to wait till the back of the grid in the 40s and 50s to rejoin, having started the race in P15. So now that he's crossed the line and he's in 25, he's only down 10 positions, which is a great recovery so far, but I'm sure we'll see some change in this. And Michael O'Shin's in P23. Craig Carroll just ahead in P22 with 14 positions gained. Richard Severa. I mean, that's kind of a strange one there. He's sitting just straight and on the narrow. No positions gained, none lost in 29. You can't beat consistency, that's for sure. And what you're witnessing is the pain and agony of my PC having to stream 55 drivers on a grid that max allowance is 60 on a server. There's nothing wrong with my PC. There is something wrong with having a max grid in a league. But hey, join us. If my CPU dies, I think the league owes me a new one. I think I'll just go with that. Noah Hodgkinson, one of the league owners, sitting there in P20 with Kyle Howe, who we're on board with, in 21. Last lap with a 206.687. Now it's a 0.992. He's 2/10 off of Noah Hodgkinson, so don't think he's going to reel him in anytime soon, but Noah Hodgkinson certainly can try his best to reel in some of these drivers ahead of him. And, you know, looking at the times right there, it looks like he's going to be able to do that. That's Dean Diltz in that orange Porsche. Ferrari? Porsche. I can't tell. Oh, he's not in the orange. That's Idis Goubois. I don't know if Goubois is the title there, but the name. Ah, unfortunate. Dean Diltz dealt a deadly hand. I was trying to go with D's only on that one, but no, he's having to battle it out there with Noah Hodgkinson, who got ahead of him through a couple of those corners there, as you saw, and maybe he's trying to fight back. No, he doesn't. Not at this moment in time. That orange car that was ahead in the Ferrari of Idis Goubois? Wobis. It's I don't know why anyone does this to me. That is a name for sure, though. It's like Dean Diltz is going to try to make a move on Noah Hodgkinson into the corner. They almost went side by side, but almost, but not quite. And he stays ahead. And you kind of wonder if Dean is got anything in him to make a move here. Actually, they're both in Porsches, so it's not really making up time. But you can see in that mirror, or in that monitor, there's Kyle Howe trying to have a little squeeze down the inside, but he wasn't quite there on the straight. But he's definitely going to try to make that attempt again. And now we could only look at the position on the car as we're in the full darkness. It's actually like 7. If I'm looking at the time correctly, and that's 1904, it's only. I mean, is it like this? Can it really get this dark at 7? I don't live in that area of the States, so I don't really know how that. If that does work there. Dean Diltz staying firmly ahead of Kyle Howe moment. See if the carousel let go, and just before the kink. Now, how quick is that for everybody? Everyone's still pretty on the level there. No one was out wide. No one touching the grass. All my Googling suggested Ubis. Like J-E-E? Like G as in like Lee? G Ubis? Maybe it. So we got Dylan Maroney and the latter, Ubis. Yeah, that one. Is that one you're saying? Yeah, Ubis. Well, hopefully I don't have to say his name again. Dylan Maroney down the inside line. of Logan Brakey. I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. He's got a fine name, Idis G. Ubis, if that is how you pronounce it. I thought it was like French. Like, like one of those Dubois. Like, because that's almost close. Like you swap the D with a G, and it, could be that. And everything is still A-okay. And that is more of a reassurance for myself. Okay, we are still good. Lap 29 of 44. Any flickering that's happening is definitely just the race control application that is losing its utter mind to the madness that is occurring in front of me. Dylan Maroney down the inside line on Logan Brakey, who's in that white Porsche. Not quite alongside him for that, so it's going to have to make an attempt down into the Moraine sweep. And also, if you guys are new here, when this race does end, we will get an interview the top 3 drivers, P1, 2, and 3, if they so decide to join me in a post-race discussion on how the race went. You can see that Christopher Daniels still 7.8 seconds back on P2, 2, and 1, so I think he's just going to count his flowers here for having stayed ahead of Peter Flander, who's now a couple seconds back on him. IOUS would come after the consonant in the case of a French name typically. Oh, night racing road at America, that would be scary. Well, it's only scary because you just don't do it. Try it out. And there's 55 drivers on this grid that are doing it pretty fine. Actually, I think it's... I shouldn't say that. I think it's 50 drivers on the grid at this moment in time. So we've had a full 10 drivers drop out. A lot of them were still in it at the start. There goes, I think, our second pit stop, because I don't think anyone was going to make it to the end on fuel. Oh. It's been pretty good. Going over to P3, P1 and 2, they are stuck to each other like glue. God, I didn't mean to make that rhyme. After the pit stop, Elliot Burton took less fuel, more than likely. He was at a 56.3, and Jacob Simmons at a 57.4. There was a full second gap in their pit strategy, and it did take Jacob Simmons a full second off on exit to Elliot Burton, but it looks like he reeled him in, and he's really trying to just keep with it. Any mistake, as we know, Elliot Burton's going to lose P1, but I'm more concerned of whether or not Jacob Simmons is going to be able to find time to get ahead of him, maybe in the pit stop, maybe try to undercut him. We see people are already going into the pit, but right now they have pretty much clean air ahead of them. That is the darkness of darkness, and that is definitely the pits. that are causing such a ruckus. Probably best to ask the homie before the next. Qualifying was going till 8 p.m. last night. What a good race today. Oh, I just got home from from Road America. Oh, awesome. Nice to hear that. Yeah, you know, there's a Google spreadsheet for everyone who has difficult names to enter in, so I can have that locked down. I will say the hardest one in the lineup there is going to be a driver who's not even in the top 10 right now. I'm not actually sure where he's at. That was Brian Berthium. It's a very difficult name when you look at it on paper, but he likes turtles. That's his fun fact. Um, they could put it in there. It's part of the whole thing. Um, but there's so many drivers that are new. The league typically has anywhere from, you know, at least 25 to 38 show up every race last season, and we maxed out at 60, and we maxed out again on the season 10 opener at the Nürburgring, and there were drivers that wanted to join that race that couldn't. I think there was over 7 drivers, and so, you know, within the first 5 minutes, we had over 40 people signed up in this race, and we're already in practice with 5 minutes starting the session. It's slowed down, but it's going to be a lot every time, and I think the whole purpose is that they want to see someone's computer melt, and that's going to be mine if this continues. Jacob Simmons, still 610 spec on Elliott Burton. No change in the order there, though. I'm just curious. One of these drivers is going to have to make the pit stop. If we go over to Mark Foley, who... That's not Mark Foley. Alright, we'll go over to Trey Mistak. Trey Mistak is in P11. He started this race in P49. The driver who won the driver championship for season 9 and has won championships before that, undisputedly one of the fastest drivers in the league. Or not undisputedly, disputedly. We got Matt Shack, his former teammate of the Shake Stack team. I forget the name of that. But there are 5 drivers that can do what Trey's doing right now, just consistently putting in banger laps, 205.8s, when everyone else on the grid is putting in 206s, 207s, 208s. And right now it looks like he inherited P8. Certainly there's some drivers that have already gone in the pit lane to serve their mandatory pit stop. He is not one of them. He's got 14. He pit on lap 17, and he's got a stint of 14 laps on these tires. But sitting in the top 10 on merit, Peter Flanner behind in P9. Peter Flanner started this race. Oh, he's on his out lap, so this actually doesn't look that bad. I thought it was like, oh no, did he get passed? But no, Peter Flanner, who was in P4, is down to P9 right now. He's going to inherit those positions back for sure. So we got Peter Cheney over that back there, struggling on the exit there of is that turn 5? Yeah, turn 5. I know my stuff. Okay. Chris Lambeth, who has pit, and just ahead of him is Jordan Groves, who also has pit. Jordan Groves pit on lap 25. Not sure if that was strategic. But he was ahead of Peter Flanner. And now he's behind by 11.9 seconds. So that's got to sting a little. All right, we'll pull over to Eric Rodriguez, who is in the pit lane. That was not what I was hoping was going to be seen. Go with Rafael Santos. And it looks like they're not doing so well, but they've all the drivers ahead of Rafael Santos have not pit. Oh, Elliot Burton has exited the pit lane. Where is he at here? Jacob Simmons and Elliot Burton. Okay, so Elliot Burton did a 47.7 on his total time in the pit lane. Jacob Simmons did a 50.4. God, that's a full... Now you can see 2.6, 2.8, almost 3 seconds back. He is down in the pit lane. That's unfortunate because that's going to be a crawl back to get what he was, 0.6 off of that driver. And now it's not going to be as easy considering they're just sitting directly in the middle of lap traffic. Yeah, and there it goes. It starts to pan out. JD Daniel is in P5. Peter Flanner back to P4. Christopher Daniel ahead in P3. He's only 3.6 seconds back, but he was already that already. He's got Jeff Lubish lap traffic behind. 205 is about what they're hitting today in the GTD. Wow. That's pretty impressive. Now show me Dean Diltz. Eddie A. Smith is in P19. Just ahead of him is Dean Diltz. 152 in the was the prototype. Jesus. And we'll swap over to this to go over to Chris Lambeth, who is in P8 right now. He's got Rafael Santos ahead of him. Jordan Groves also sitting kind of in a danger zone. These drivers were nowhere near him a couple pit stops ago. But through the pit strategy, Jordan Groves is under threat. Not only Rafael Santos, but to Chris Lambeth as well, as we go on board with the driver who's going to be able to see this fight better than anyone. Makes a sneak up the inside. Oh, he's going to go side by side. Craig Burke. We'll get over to Craig Burke in a second. We'll see how he's doing. And I believe he's doing all right. Still, they're going side by side. Up the hill. Rafael Santos has that inside line. He's going to keep it. But Chris Lambeth is not done yet. He slots in for this corner. They're going to go into the carousel, and it's not going to be a great spot to pass anyway. Incas also a racing team. Yeah, whatever happened to that team? They're part of the Ricardo Espino and Craig Brick. They didn't reaffirm that they were a team, so I think they'll just have to reaffirm that they're a team this season, so that they can get added to that sheet for the team championship. And still, it looks like he's not giving up. Chris Lambeth wants P7 as Jordan Groves goes into the pit lane. Now that can't be good. He has to. He's already gone into the pits twice. I don't think anyone else is stopping for a third stop. I think Jordan Groves must have some issue, drive-through or something. That's, maybe not enough fuel, but still, he's going to just lose a ton of positions. He started P2, P3. And if it doesn't happen here, I'm going to... His first stop was for damage. Oh. Yikes. That's unfortunate. And Chris Lambeth has the move down. Rafael Santos probably a little too ambitious in the braking zone. And here's Craig Brick, who's been, you know, in the thick of it, I will say, for the first part of this race. I'm sure it's been like that throughout the race. He was down 5 positions off the start from where he started this race, but now it looks like he's only down 1. Driver ahead of him, Logan Brakey, is also down 4. So he's mitigated a lot of that throughout this race. So great result for him so far. He's got Zeki Kabani, who's been pretty strong, but really hasn't been in striking range of anybody throughout this race. He's always, you know, a second, 2 seconds back on people, but nothing that you have to worry about as far as defending right now. He's just always slightly there out in that buffer zone of, I don't have to worry about defending right now. Mustang got killed by balance of performance rules, but cool to hear Aston Martin got a prototype coming. Mustangs got killed by themselves, and then got the HOR GTD car. So we have Craig Brick possibly making a move here. That's going to be a kiss, almost. Wow, just really just right there on the back bumper. You're not going to be a Porsche in the cornering. And I'm just amazed with how long this race is. Every time we do one of these, there are still quite a few drivers that are battling it out lap after lap, pit stop after pit stop. Craig Brick goes through and inherits P12, but is it over? I hope he stays ahead there and keeps it together. There he goes. It's one more spot for Logan Brakey, unfortunately, but Craig Brick now takes back P12, where he started this race from. And we'll hop back over. We got Mark Foley, another driver, I should add, started this race in the position he's in. P10, with Dylan Maroney just ahead. And I thought it was over, but it's not. I'm going to hop back over. We got Zeki Kabani, who's now one of those drivers where I was saying hasn't been in striking distance of anyone throughout the race. After, I'd say, the first pit stop, he's just kind of maintained behind a couple groups of cars. And now he's right there on the heels of Logan Brakey. As you can clearly see on his bumper. He's got some attitude. Starts to the inside line, and it looks like he's going to fully commit. And side by side they go. It's not over just yet. And they're going to take this into the next braking zone. And Logan Brakey has the advantage on that inside line and looks to grab a toe off him once more. Oh, and they swap places. I wouldn't think to do that. And he's going to have the advantage again going up the hill into the over the bridge here. Zeki Kabani making up a spot. That's 5 positions gained for him into P13. And look at that, another driver of Michael Mathias. Haven't seen any of his overtakes, but you know, the Stang, it's scary to look at in the dark like this. It's like the boogeyman. It's right there, seemingly larger than them. And Michael Mathias, you know, actually had a really good lap. His last lap was a 2:06.3. That was a full second ahead of Logan Brakey. Granted, Logan Brakey was battling Zeki Kabani. But there he goes. He's going to pop down the inside line, and we'll see whether or not he's going to be close enough. And it looks like in the braking zone, he does have it. And they are going to go side by side. Ooh. Oh. Jeez. And there goes his lights. Yikes. And he is out of it, folks. Definitely not going to be able to drive at night at Road America with no lights. And it looked like his car got a little unsettled as they banged doors going side by side. You hate to see it. Not sure what the punishment, if that will even be reported, but you know, I think Logan is now thinking to himself, you know, we take those, just not having to battle one extra person. So we'll go over to Mark Foley, who's 6/10 down on Dylan Maroney. Been about 6/10 down on Dylan Maroney for a number of these laps. 5 laps to go as well. Go over. We have Eric Stamp here. He's got Ethan Orr behind him. It's battle for P31. I think it's 31. It says 32 and 30. Yeah, 30 and 31. Jeff Lubish is in the back there in P33. A lot of Porsches here. Every driver has locked in their car. So round 1 at the Nürburgring was the Nürburgring GP WEC layout, I should say. That was the freebie, but everyone now has to use the same car for the remainder of the season. Else they'll get docked points off the team and driver championship. Yeah, both. Go over to JD Daniel is sitting in P5 right now. He's just got nothing but 30s lap traffic. Going over to Tyler Kernan. Man, I thought I was going to have to say his name again. What was that guy saying? Just scroll up a second. Giubis. Idis Giubis in the orange Ferrari battling out Tyler Kern and this Ferrari you can't really see right now in the darkness, leading the way in that darkness with Rodrigo Theory just ahead in that Porsche. Battle for P21 is on. They're separated by nothing because they're side by side. And in the braking zone, Idis is going to stay on the inside line. Ooh! He was defensive, but on the outside, Tyler Kern goes through to take that position, P21. And look at that, Rodrigo Theory now 1 second away. And we'll hop over to Jeff Kaufhold, who is in P11 with Mark Foley ahead, 3/10 difference here as they go up the hill on the start straight finish. 4 laps to go. I mean, the track really has kind of played out a little bit. Elliot Burton still 1.2 ahead of Jacob Simmons. So he has taken that difference down just a little bit. And if we go over to Christopher Daniel, who's 1.4 actually back. Also another good move for him, Christopher Daniel, who's just on his last lap did a 2:04.7. That was quality times we didn't even get to see. One driver did a 2:04, but in practice, there's 8 drivers that were doing 2:04s. Well, 20 drivers were in the 2:05s, and another 20 were in the 2:06s. Then there's only just a slight number that were outside that. I'd say 20. It was probably like 15 because there's more than, the remainder amount in my maths correctly that were outside of the 206s, 207s, 208s, 209s. But not bad. Christopher Daniel just at the fastest lap of the race with 3 laps to go. Just burning off that extra fuel. Now, what does it say about the Intimidator, Trey Mistack, who's sitting in P16 here, having started this race from P49? Insane. Insane result. If you want to go back further, John Javecki is right behind him, 13 seconds back, and he's ahead. He's ahead of Dean Diltz. Two drivers ahead of him are lap traffic. And he's P17 after having started this race in P50, just behind Trey Mistack. So 2 drivers who usually qualify in the top 10. John Javecki, who had track limits violation, is my bet for his last and only lap that I could recall seeing him do. So did not place it on the grid at all. Trey Mistack purposely did not do qualifying because he wanted to see how good he is at passing people. Kind of his words. We got 3 laps to go in this 1.5 times the points on this race. Sorry, folks. A little bit of a moment for myself. 4 seconds. Half a second back on Chris Lambeth is Rafael Santos, who never really lost this driver. Ooh. Are they going... it's a little ambitious to pass right there, but I mean, hey, they both did it, and said whoever that was just let him by. Didn't fight it, but I mean, yeah, it's something else. And it... All right. Horizontal ticker is back up again. showing all positions, albeit a little too fast. I should slow that down. That is quite quick that it goes through. Can't even read all of them. I don't know if Rafael Santos is going to make a move just yet. He's half a second away, but driver that is trying to make a move is Jeff Koffold, who's only 2/10 away from Mark Foley, who's sitting in P9. He's gained a position somewhere. And then Dylan Maroney in P8 just ahead. So 2 laps to go. Everybody in the top 10 is... Not everybody, but a good majority of the top 10 is still worried about the position because they got drivers right next to them. And that's what I was talking about. There's a Zeki Kabani who's sitting there in the background. He's about four seconds back on this group, but he's always been in that little space. But he's also passed some people. I mean, he's up 6 positions. Christopher Daniel in P3, setting the fastest lap. Oh, who's that? Michael O'Shins. Let him by. And this is going to be tricky with the final lap here. We got lap traffic of Rodrigo Theory that are going to play a slight role. No, he's gone fully out of the way here. And while it looks a little cool looking at him from this view, Jacob Simmons is the one that's having to worry. He goes down the inside line. Ah, they bang wheels. He was fully committed to make a move, and now he's lost a position and is in P3. And now it looks like the momentum is going to Christopher Daniel, who's really holding it together. Now maybe he tries to make a move on Elliott Burton. They touched on the final lap, and that is a position lost for the Bush's Baked Beans driver. And it didn't look like anything was going to happen between these three. And he goes down on the outside line. He's going to try to make a move back alongside for Christopher Daniel. But no, he has to slot back in. And on the last lap, they really give it their all. Jacob Simmons was waiting, reeled in the leader, and now it's not going to go to him into P2. Unfortunately, now it's just P3. And there goes Elliott Burton across the line into P1. Christopher Daniel P2. Jacob Simmons in P3. And Trey Mistak battling it out with with Jordan Groves, who's still fighting it as we still got it. This is still on a fight. Trey Mistak and Jordan Groves. Where are they at, folks? In the kink. Is he going to make a move? He's up 34 positions. Can he make up to 35? And is this it? Does Trey Mistak have something up his sleeve? There's really not much you can do here. Just hope you get a better exit and battle him down the line. No, but I think this is it. I think Jordan Groves has stayed off this attack from Trey Mistak, who's going to stay P15 with Jordan Groves into 14. And the results are in. And we'll get first reactions from Elliott Burton here. Elliott, what a fantastic race you put on. At any point, did you feel any pressure there, or is it this all came down to the last lap?
Oh, I felt pressure the whole time. Jacob was quick, and I saw Chris Daniels closing in really, really quickly at the end there. So it was definitely a huge focus on keeping some good exits and keeping it clean.
Awesome. Is there any, were you on your pit stops just kind of fueling just for what you needed? Because it looked like Jacob every time was just like a full second off of your times.
Yeah, the first pit stop I think I was saving the whole race, just kind of little lifts into every corner, so trying to save a little bit. So I got him about a second on the first pit stop, and then the second I think was about maybe 2.5 second uh, gap on the pit stop. So I don't know where he lost the time. I didn't really change much between the first and the second stint, but the saving definitely helped towards the end and helped me build a gap at the end there, so I could hold them off because they were really quick. I don't think I have the single lap pace that they have, but
Mm-hmm.
I was just working on keeping it consistent.
Yeah, it was a very consistent race out of you and Jacob Simmons. I When you felt that dive, did you feel any worries when that dive came down in in sector 2 just before the
I was
carousel?
I was waiting for one to come, and then I didn't expect it there. That's kind of an awkward. It's a really tight corner, pretty tough place, like a slow corner, hard to pass there. So I didn't really expect him to go there, but I kind of held the middle, and we made a little bit of contact, but it was none of us spun or wrecked or anything, so that was really good, pretty clean. So I tried to give him space when I saw him going, but yeah, we both had to make the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys really gave it your all, especially on that last lap. It looked like it was really coming down to the wire. Like even Christopher Daniel looked like he might try to make a move on you. Did you feel that at all from him, or is it you
Oh
think you
yeah,
got it? Okay, you felt
yeah,
it.
he was definitely looking for it. He made a little bit of a look into Canada corner. I covered off as much as I could without compromising too much, and then going to the last corner, I think he tried to go cut wide and cut back, but I got down to the apex and I kind of dissuaded him from doing that. I don't think he really had any room to do anything at that point. So um, yeah, just trying to make the car as wide as possible there.
Well, congratulations. I mean, what a fantastic race. I mean, you led it. At one point, we did have Trey Mistek in P1. So
Yeah,
what? How
he
did that
scared
feel?
me.
Yeah.
He scared me. He stayed out an extra lap. Because I didn't. I was only looking at like the five cars behind me ish, so I wasn't really paying attention. And so I came in. I was saving a little bit, so I went in as long as I could without doing a mega save. And then on the way out, a car flew past, and I thought it was a lap car, and then I saw it was the same lap, and then I realized it was Trey, and then I had a moment of panic when I was like, how did Trey beat us all in the pit stop? Then I realized that he hadn't pit yet, so it was all okay from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time. Is there anything you want to say to anybody? It looked like a lot of people were watching. It looked like they really enjoyed, your guys' battles. The fact that you were able to really just keep it together, like, had Jacob Simmons behind you, like 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths sometimes. But I mean, it was always just like glued to to your rear.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who joined and raced and made it all the way to the end. That was an awesome grid with, I think, for the most part, very clean racing by everyone. So I think the voice chat was pretty calm and collected. So I think everyone did really well there. So I'm looking forward to rewatching on the broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to watch. Great job, and I'll see you.
Yeah, thanks. I'll talk to you later.
Christopher Daniel. That's got to feel great. That's got to feel really great.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jason. It was a fun race battling back from a horrible qualifying and starting position. So yeah, it was good to get up there and fight with Elliot and Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like you were just going to comfortably hold on to P3. You were about like, I think 3 seconds off at one point from the first pit stop to the second. But I mean, I wasn't even paying attention, but you were reeling Jacob Simmons in on that last stint, I guess, is what you made up most of your time. Because, yeah, I mean, you were right there and, you capitalized on what was, you know, a mistake when the two go banging into that that corner just before the carousel. I mean, you really nailed it. Did you feel that opportunity come to you right when you noticed it?
Yeah, kind of. It was a surprise to me. That's where he went for the pass. I was thinking Canada corner, but maybe that's what he was expecting to happen. So maybe that's why he threw it down the inside of Elliott there. But I mean, hey, they came out on the other end, nice and straight for the most part. That's what I like about this league. They run hard, but they run clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great league. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had a fantastic result for you. Also, the other Pax Oceani guys, everyone seemed to be doing well. Is there anything you can say? It was so I did hear slightly that one of your drivers did have some damage, and he went into the pits not only once or not even twice, but three times. He had to go into the pit lane. I think that really it was Jordan Groves. Was there anything that he has anything to say on that?
Not really. He let me go there on the straightaway. I think shortly after the first pit stop, he realized that I had a little more pace, and he said he was struggling with the Porsche. It's his first season with the Porsche as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think if you didn't run high wing here in the Porsche, you were going to struggle in a lot of areas, which is one of the reasons why I didn't choose the Porsche for this season. Just knowing that Road America was on the schedule, I didn't want to have to fool with it. But even with uh, the Corvette, I was having to run some pretty low wing to keep up with Jacob and those guys. So it was still kind of hairy, but I threw a setup out there and it stuck. So I was happy that I threw something together at the last minute. And I even made a rear anti-roll bar change at the second stop just to
Hmm.
free the car up some more because it was so tight through the kink. I couldn't get it to turn. I'd have to lift every lap. And so I just kind of missed the setup in that regard. I think the arrow was a little too far rearward.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't even know. I did notice that there was a lot of people struggling through the kink there, and lifting seemed to be the only option. So I mean, at least you're dialing in your settings and getting some things out of there, trying to extract some performance. That's actually impressive. I didn't know that many people even try to do something like that.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I tested with our teammates, John and Alan and Jordan and Alex and Matt. We all get together once or twice a week and kind of noodle out what our strategy is going to be. And that was one of the things that was thrown out by one of our other teammates that's not running this league, but he's really good at running endurance races. And he's like, just try it, just see what you like and see when the tires will go away, understand when the fuel load will change and how that's going to affect the overall performance of the car. So that's the reason I chose to do a bar change because it seemed advantageous at in the moment.
Gotcha. And did you take full set, or did you just take halves?
Yeah, so the first set of stop, sorry, was a full set. The second stop was a half set. So I took lefts on my second stop, but I still had like 92% left on my left sides. So I probably would have been better off just sticking with them, be honest with you.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you don't know until the race is over what you should have done more correctly. But I
Yep.
mean, hey, you
Yep.
secured a P2. I mean, that was a fantastic last lap. I mean, a real heater. Like everyone definitely enjoyed seeing that really
Good.
come to fruition. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the Pax Oceani guys for joining the league too. Really just putting a little scare to some of the drivers. Having all those different Pax Oceani cars on the grid, and you guys are all pretty quick. I mean, I know John Javecki was kind of doing a recovery race going from P50 all the way down into
Yeah.
the teens. I mean, what an impressive drive for him as well.
Yeah, shout out to John, Vicky, and JD. I know those guys had a good run. John had some troubles during qualifying. I won't name the name of his equipment, but he had a problem with his wheel settings,
Hmm.
just blanking out on them. So, yeah, he did a really good job. We were shared setups all week, and believe it or not, we actually chose two different setups. But if you look at the times, we were still pretty close. So that speaks volumes to just to the drivers that we have on the team. With JD and John moving up so high, and Alex. And Jordan, they just had a little bit of a bad luck tonight with the Porsche doing Porsche things. It's got a built-in spin machine in the back,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Matt,
it's unfortunate.
poor Matt, he had some issues with his computer. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good showing. I appreciate you guys having all 7 cars out on the track with it with your league. I spoke very highly of this league, and I think that's kind of what led us to this point.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining, and I appreciate you coming in the booth. I'll let you go.
Yeah,
Cheers.
no worries. You mind if I give some shout outs real quick?
Yeah. Shout out.
I know it's a shameless plug. Check out Into the Paddock podcast. And I want to say thanks to my wife for letting me do this and play virtual tour car racing in my basement. But I appreciate you, Jason, as well. You
Yeah.
do an amazing job, and
Thank you.
we all appreciate it. Yeah, man.
All right. Well, cheers.
All right, cheers. Have a good one. See you at the next one.
Yep.
Bye.
And Craig Burke.
Hey,
Sorry,
how's it
Craig
going?
Brick. Sorry for that.
Brick. There
Yeah,
we go.
Brick.
You're good.
I believe you are the I I believe you're the AM winner, correct?
I guess so. I didn't even realize it, but I was just driving. I didn't even know what place I was. I just saw the overall position, but that was very surprising to me.
I mean, you gave you. I mean, you gave as good as you got. I mean, you lost some positions at the start. You're down five. You know, recovered two, then lost a couple more, then got back at it. At one point in the race, I didn't really have a dial in on you, but you were still like in the thick of it through the first stint. You were just going hand in hand with other drivers. But when I finally got back to you on like I think it was a third stint, or after the second stint, you were back. You only had lost now one position from the start of the race, so you're down one and you're battling it back out. You know, we actually got to see some of your moves, impressive as they were.
Thank
So
you.
how do you feel?
I feel good, yeah. So the start was a little, a little rough, feeling everyone out. I want to be respectful, I didn't want to do any dive bombs or hit anyone, so I was kind of taking it careful, lost some positions, just thinking about the long game. I messed up the first pit. I tried to go long, um, messed up. I maybe it was a little too slow going into the pit, and then slid past the pit box, maybe about literally a foot. But after that, kind of got in the groove, and it felt better. Car was coming to me. Track felt good, and then after that, the racing was awesome with these other guys, and it was a blast.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like everyone was really respectful. I mean, you were going, too wide through some of these corners, like multiple corners, and I forget who exactly you were battling, but I mean, it was quite something else. I think it was Logan Brakey might be one of them, and Zeki Kabani. But I mean,
Yes, shout out to both of them. It was really fun. They're both respectful. Gave some room on the outside, inside, wherever you were. Yeah, they didn't do any dirty moves. It was pure fun. It was so fun.
well, congratulations for nabbing the AM. It doesn't seem like much, but when you're sitting there in the AM class, but you're surrounded by pros, going forward when you get higher up in the ranks, I mean, you finished 11th, and that's extremely impressive considering we have, over 20 something pro drivers that are also in that race next to you. So that's quite a feat, and I'm sure they might be changing your results sometime soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want to give a shout out to the team in Casalsa Racing and CasalsaRacing.com, my teammates and everything. I want to thank you. I want to thank the league for putting on something so fun, and I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, and did Ricardo Espino have a some like an issue, or because I don't
Yeah,
think
he's
he.
having hardware issues with his PC. Um,
Hmm.
and then we're trying to figure that out, but hopefully we'll get it fixed for the next round.
Well, I hope he does because I want to see Ika Salsa Racing and maybe Ika Salsa Racing Queso, or are they out of it entirely?
Uh, this week they're out of it. Hopefully we get them back. Everyone's been pretty busy with their lives, but hopefully try to shift some time slots around so we get some racing in.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me. Anything you want to say last before I let you go?
Just pretty much it. Shout out to everyone on the grid for having some good racing. I'll shout out to you and everyone else who put this together. And have a great night. And see you next week.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, everybody, that's it. Round three is coming to you next week, Sunday, same time, 9:10 Eastern Standard Time is when qualifying happens. 10 minutes prior to that is practice, or I start the thing 10 minutes early, so 10 minutes before qualifying, I'll let you know how practice is going, what the lowdown is on the lap times. As you can see, the results, I've been scrolling them through. Um, So for everyone that's kind of wanting a shout out on their name, it's a long list. I've scrolled through this the list on where people ended up in this race. As you can note, most notably Trey Mistek and John Javecki were 45th or 49th and 50th on the grid and went to 15 and 17 at the end of this race. Yeah, thank you for being here, guys. Yeah, you're welcome. Can't wait to see you guys next week.